Hi everyone, it is Wednesday, May 27th, 2015, and this is episode 21? 21? This is Serenova podcast. I'm trying to remember what episode it was. I should have looked it up before I started recording, shouldn't I? That would have been good, right? Oh boy. I think it's going to be one of those mornings. I barely started recording, and I'm already like, my shirt's a mess. Don't remember what episode I'm on. You know, it's all crazy. No, that's not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted. Come on, Evernote, please. Thank you. It's episode 21. I am going to start off with a couple of finished objects, and then I'm going to move on to some... I didn't bring any of my whips out here. What's wrong with me? I didn't bring any of my whips out here. I have 12 whips, and I didn't bring any of them out here. What is going on with me? But anyways, you've all seen them before. You don't really need to see them again. Fine. Okay, sorry, I'm looking down at my notes. So that's why I'm not looking up at you. Like I said, it's one of those mornings. So I am sitting on our giant bean bag, which the cat has made the world's largest cat bed. And we also got her a giant cat tower. I'm going to turn the camera so you can see it. Cat tower. Cat tower. See? That's the cat tower. And yes, that's a botless. And yes, we have a wall of sorts. But, yeah, the cat tower is taller than I am. So the cat's being pretty much spoiled right now. I'm just double checking if I want to go grab anything. So I'm looking at my projects in Ravelry. I haven't made progress on really anything that's a whip, so I'm just going to go with BFOs because those are the two things I've been focusing on this past week. So, first up is the, first I'm going to do my socks because I have the sock yarn here. So, I finished my May socks last night during our D&D group. So here's one sock, two socks. And this yarn is, the dyer is Alina Shea Creations, and I checked, she is still dyeing. I will put a link to her Etsy shop in my show notes. Let me just make a note to make the link. Sorry, I can't talk and talk. I cannot talk and type at the same time. It doesn't go well. Link in show notes. There we go. Okay. But because I was wondering the entire month I've been getting these socks if she was in fact, that's better, still dying. And after Googling her this week, I found out, yes, she is still dying. So I will put a link to her shop. I really enjoyed working with this. The yarn is actually really soft. It is a merino nylon blend, but it's still really soft and really nice to work with. As you can see, her striping isn't true. I'm even go close to the camera so you can see it. It isn't true striping because, as you can see, it's not even. Either that or my stitch count was not enough. Excuse me, or my stitch count was too much for a stripe. Because I noticed that everything shifted slightly over time, because one color would end a few stitches before it began on the previous row. So I think my 72 stitches was a little too long to get a true stripe out of it. So as it is, everything kind of shifts as you go up both sides. I didn't even bother to try to match these because I knew there was basically no point. So finished socks, yay! So these are done, and now I pulled the bag for my yarn for June. Now, I'm actually not going to wait until June to start. In fact, I'm going to start these as soon as I'm done recording the podcast. Because I have my socks to knit in June. Then I have my sock club that I'm starting through my local shop, which that starts June 1st. But they're not open June 1st because that's a Monday, so I get to go on Tuesday and pick up my stuff. Because they're open on the 2nd, but not on the 1st, because it's a Monday. And then I offered to do a sample knit for a dyer. I am blanking on her name, but I will put a link to her blog and her Etsy in my show notes. Because I am really sorry, I'm forgetting your name. Should have looked it up before I started recording today. But nope, got up, laid in bed until Kevin got dressed for work. Because he'll get up, shower, lay back down for a little while, so I stayed in bed after he laid back down. And then when he got up to, get dressed to go to work, is when I got up and I just brought my computer into the living room, brought my webcam out, which I think I figured out the issue because I realized, so 2 weeks ago when I had the video problem, I realized that I'd forgotten to plug my laptop in so it was running on battery. And laptops don't like recording video when on battery. So, yeah. So I think that's what went wrong there. So I think what went wrong was the initial recording of the video was my laptop was on battery, so the video was skipping a bit. Then last week, I remembered I actually started recording, realized I hadn't plugged in my laptop, stopped recording, plugged it in, and then started over again. But my laptop, because it's an Ultrabook, only has 2 USB ports, and I had the webcam plugged into a USB hub I have. And I think that's where the audio distortion came from, because the video recorded fine through the hub. But I don't think the audio worked fine through the hub for recording purposes. When I've used my webcam as a webcam to chat with people like on Skype, which by the way, if you ever want to chat with me, send me a message. I'll happily give you my Skype if you ever want to just chill and knit or something over Skype. I'll also do a Google Plus Hangout. If you want to do anything like that, just send me a message. We can chill. It's fine. Because hey, we can do virtual hangouts. That's a thing, right? Whatever. Anyways, back to topic. So because I think I was routing it through my USB hub, I think that's what distorted the audio last week. So this time, I have the external hard drive I saved the video, I have the computer saved the video to, plugged into one USB port, and I have the webcam plugged into the other USB port, and I'm using the fact that my laptop has a touch screen to do all the controls for the video and everything. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. By the way, if you're not American and you're watching this, because I read an article that actually crossing your fingers in some places was considered rude. In America, we cross our fingers for good luck. If you didn't know that, now you know. We also do knock on wood to prevent bad luck. We have to you either have to say knock on wood or literally knock on wood like you're gonna knock on a door. Some people say touch wood, but here in New England, which is where I am, we say knock on wood. So, finish socks. So, anyway, as I was saying about the socks, because I got sidetracked yet again, I'm going to pull my June bag because my local shop is starting their club in June. I have my personal socks for June, and I am doing a sample knit of socks for a dyer in June. So, I have my bag, and as soon as I'm done recording with you guys today, I might cast on my lunch break. I have to log into work once I'm done recording. So I might cast on my lunch break. But they're getting cast on today. Before June, I know, but why not? And this is one of the ones I am going to swap out. So, this is, I was going to do a pattern for this yarn. But I've decided that my personal club is not going to be any pattern socks. So I am going to go grab another bag. And I am going to pull the free yarn. So if you give me a moment, I will be right back. Alright. So what was a jump cut for you was about 2 minutes of rummaging for me. So sorry, I'm readjusting my hair here because I knocked it when I got out. So what I have here, so what I did was, I put that yarn back in my stash. I put the skein of sock yarn I was going to replace it with back in the bag. I sealed the bag again, and then I tossed it in with all my other bags for the year. And then I put them in the bag. So we are going to try this again. Did I seriously just do this twice? Did I seriously just do this twice? I literally pulled the 2 pairs of patterned socks that I decided I wasn't going to do, and I was waiting to pull. I literally just pulled them 2 in a row. So if you excuse me, by the way, this is the yarn. Yeah, I caked them all over purpose in the bag. I like how the cake hasn't collapsed yet. Look at that. A hollow cake. Look at it. My fingers in there. Hollow cake. But anyway, I need to go replace this yarn as well. So again, I will be back. Yet again. After another jump cut. 3rd time's the charm. Hopefully. So by the way, when I just jumped onto the bead bag just now, yeah, my feet aren't touching the ground because I kind of sunk into it a good ways, but anyway. There should not be any more patterned socks in my personal club. Because I have now pulled the 2 skeins that had patterns attached to them. So, hey, vanilla socks. So, this is Pattons Crochet. I didn't cake this up because I'm just going to go sock, so I didn't bother caking it. This is Pattons Crochet in the Rusty Stripes colorway. As you can see, there's blue and red here. See? My camera focus. But it's going to be an interesting one to work on, so we'll see how it goes. So, June socks. Fine. That works. So, if you're wondering what happened to those little tiny needles I showed you last week, nope, not working for me. Keep them a week. So last week on Tuesday, so a week ago yesterday, because it's a Wednesday for me. I don't know when you're watching this, but for me it's a Wednesday. So a week ago yesterday, I went and got tiny little short 9-inch needles from my local shop. In a size 1, which is what I use for my socks. They're Chowgu, which is a really good brand. I love Chowgu needles, like, I really do. Because I was going to try them instead of Magic Loop, because the sock just goes in a circle on them, right? I gave them a week. Wasn't working for me. It's not that I couldn't figure out what to do with my fingers. But when I don't have anything on Magic Loop to show you right now, but when I do Magic Loop, I hold the end of that side between these two fingers, and like I push it forward with pressure. So I'm actually not shuffling a lot on Magic Loop, I'm only shuffling when I'm switching the needle. But on these little ones, I was shuffling like every 30 seconds. I would knit like 4 or 5 stitches, shuffle, 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 knit, 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 shuffle, 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 knit, 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 shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't going well. Sorry, I'm adjusting my watch all day. Wasn't going well. I wasn't enjoying it. And so when I was at the 2K Barnes & Noble knitting group, because there's a Barnes & Noble about 300 yards from my apartment building. There is a group that goes there every Tuesday that is a remnant of the old shop we had in town before she closed, and then the new shop opened a couple years ago. So this group meets at Barnes & Noble, and when I was unemployed, I started going because I was free on Tuesday morning. And now with work, because I work from home, and I have some flex in my schedule, I go on Tuesday mornings anyways. It's a really great group of women. I am the youngest person by a good margin. Well, one of the women is in her 30s. But I'm the only, as far as I know, the only person that goes into my 20s. So, I'm still the youngest person. But, they're a great group of ladies. I always have a wonderful time, every Tuesday. So, yesterday, at the Tuesday group, I threw in the towel. Couldn't do it anymore. I was too frustrated. I was too pissed off. I had made, so, I think this is actually the sock. So, I'd done this much of the sock in like magic loop, and it was these socks that I tried on. So then I knit all of this. I did the heel on these tiny needles, and then I got to about here on the leg, and I was done. I threw this out. I went back to magic loop, and yesterday, after I went back to magic loop, I did the whole rest of the sock bound off done. I am a lot faster in magic loop than I am on these tiny little needles. So, yeah, so someone at the Tuesday group wanted to try them. So like, here, you can have them. They're like $4.50. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, you can have them. So, yeah. That is what happened with that. My shirt, every time I move, my shirt gets messed up. Here, I'm going to show you guys my boobs. Like, this is the thing. Okay, so, back to progress. I am 20 minutes in. Well, you guys aren't going to be 20 minutes in because I have 2 cuts to make of me getting up and walking around. But I'm 20 minutes into recording, and I've only showed you one thing. So this is thing 2, which is my finished test knit for the girl who works at my local shop. Hi, I can get it all in view. Woo! So it is a shawl. It's not meant to be worn on your head. But it is meant to come over your shoulders. So the way it's designed is to turn at your shoulders so that, you know, it stays in place without you having to pin it or do anything. And I need to block it because these wings, what she did was, you see how, you can get on my hair again. So, you see how stubby the wings are? I think they're stubby. I've been calling them stubby. But see that? See how short they are? So what she did when she blocked it was that she stretched, really stretched them out. Sorry, I have the project for my face. So that's what I need to do. I normally don't block garter stitch, but because this needs it to get those wings to be, you know, I'm going to do that. So the gray is Battle and Tosh Soft in Composition Book Gray, and the red is Fish Belly Fiberworks Tributary in Garnet. I really liked how it turned out. I wrote up my pattern notes. I stopped by the shop. I gave it to her yesterday, and she's going to run her draft by me. So she made sure she incorporated all my notes. I made some, according to her, I made some really good points. So hopefully this pattern will be available soon. I'll let you know when it is. If you're interested, I'll let you know when it is. And yeah, that's what's going on there. So those are done. So I did get some mail yesterday. Well, not yesterday. The mail came Saturday. This came Saturday from Amanda at Lambie Bag. She's also the podcaster for Not a Podcast. So, I had ordered because I was watching her podcast last week, and she was talking about the fact that she'd done a shop update and that she had the bag. And I'm like, ooh, let me go look at her shop while I'm listening to her podcast. So here's the funny thing. So I'm watching her podcast, right? And I put in an order while I'm watching her podcast. And then like 10 minutes later in her recording, she starts talking about the bag that I just ordered off of her Etsy shop. And I'm like, what a coincidence. So this is the bag I got. It's boxes. Because if you haven't realized by now, I have a thing for boxes. And what I like is little blue boxes. There's one on the other side too. Little blue box. And then on the inside is this green and pink and white stripe. The yarn inside is not the yarn that I bought last week, but it is her yarn because I'm going to make a shawl out of it and I need to take it up. So I put it in the bag. This is going to be my project bag for the shawl. But she has little tags now. which has her logo on them. It's just a regular pull zipper, no charm on it or anything. But I like the way the zipper extends over the edge, so I can just grab it and do it instead of having to struggle with it. It's a box bottom, so it'll stand up flat, and I really like it. Attached to the bag, she included 2 buttons. So one is her shop logo. That's her little sheep logo. And the other one is her Not a Podcast logo. And these are going to go on my messenger bag where I keep all my, which I use my bag to like carry around my knitting. And it has all of my button buttons that I have. Like I have one that says, what is it? I have a bunch of them. I have like spinning as if knitting wasn't weird enough already. I have I knit so I don't kill people. I have Yarn Appreciation Day. I have a bunch of them. I got them at Stitches East when I was there for food, and they do have an Etsy shop. So I will link that as well in the show notes. But this is the yarn I got from her last week. And I know pink isn't really my color, but I really like this one. So this is her Poppet MCN base, which is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and the color is Kitten's Choice. They're about 400 yards per 100 grams gain, but it's not perfect. But I really like it. Pink normally isn't my thing, but I really like this color. So I'm thinking this is going to become a scarf of some kind, but I'm not sure I'm going to have on it. But I know that the 2 skeins of that egg I got, which is what's in here. By the way, I'll show you that egg again. How did I get the zipper card? It's a brand new bag. As a reminder, this is the bad egg. This is going to become a shawl called Leher. I'm not quite sure that's how you pronounce it, but it's L-E-H-E-R. It's going to become that. And so, got a couple of more things for you, so you can pick them up. So I told you guys about that minis group on Facebook last week. So I am getting ready to participate in my first swap. So I am getting all my minis ready. I need to mail them out. I need to finish like skating them up so they all look pretty, attaching my name to them, and then putting them in the mail. But so this is what I've done so far. So my tags with my info, and then I've made up minis. So the swap is 5 gram minis. So each of these is 5 grams. And if I knew what the yarn was, I wrote it on the back of the tag. Some of them are a mystery because I got a bunch of scraps from a woman at my local shop who just had a bag that she didn't know what to do with it. I said, well, I'm making scrap blankets, I'll take it. And she kind of didn't have labels with a bunch of stuff. But I know it's like good quality stuff, so I'm not worried about that. And then I have been spinning. Now, this isn't the spinning I've been doing this week, but this is the product of the fiber I'm spinning. This is the alpaca I've been spinning. So, it's a little lumpy bumpy, but I'm getting smoother. So it's so this is undyed, natural, like chocolatey brown. And after I did wash in plastic, and after I plied this, I had singles left over because I didn't spin my singles the same on each bobbin. So what I'm doing is I took that single that I didn't use and I'm now spinning onto it again. So I'm making it longer. And then I'm going to spin all the fiber I have left, and I'm going to 2-ply it from above, so I'll have 2 hangs. This one will probably be the bigger one. This is about 200 yards of like heavy fingering sport-ish. It's funny to touch because it's still really soft, but it does have some of the oil from the alpaca in it still, so it's a little funky to touch. I think I need to give it a wash again. I think giving it a wash again would really help. This is 100% alpaca. So, I'm working on it. But I think I'll give this another wash. The random blue things in are the ties I use. Those are in acrylic because I knew I wouldn't get matted in. So there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about real quick before I go. So I found some new podcasters due to the Facebook swap group. So I wanted to tell you about them. They will all be linked. I started watching these 3 new ones. They are Holland Handmade, September Yarn, and Pearls of Color. Now, Pearls of Color, I started watching, and I'm watching and going, that accent is really familiar. Like, really familiar. And then on the next episode, it clicked. It's a Boston accent. It's a Boston accent. I can't do a Boston accent. I can actually do a Southern drawl better than I can do a Boston accent. Don't ask me why. I'm a New Englander. I've never lived in the South. I blame the fact that I lived with someone from Georgia from the age of 4 to the age of 12. I think that's why I can do a Southern accent. So I'm like, Boston accent, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not going to say where she lives on my podcast, because she doesn't say on her podcast, she just says Boston area. But she did Facebook friend me, so we've been chatting a little bit. And it's really funny, because of, like, I know where she lives. And it's not like I know her address or anything, but I know what town she's in. Because I've spent a good chunk of my childhood, even though I live in New Hampshire, I spent a good chunk of my childhood in Massachusetts. Because you want to know how far Mass is? Mass is about 200 yards that way. Yeah. I'm like right along the border, like right, okay, maybe not 200 yards, maybe a half mile. Still, it's ridiculously close. If I got up and started walking, I could be in Mass in like no time. If I drove, it would be like 2 minutes. So, but like, both my grandmothers lived in Mass when I was a kid. I have relatives that live in Mass. I have an aunt that lives in Mass. My dad used to live in Mass. Like, if you're from a part of the country where the states are big, you know where the state lines are. You know, like, there's a culture difference between states, whatever, right? New England, not so much, at least in the border areas. So, like, Nashua and Tewksbury, basically the same place. Especially because Tewksbury has some shops and stuff. I mean, okay, they're not the same place. But there isn't, like, there's no distinction between the two. You cross the line without realizing you crossed the line. Like the state line, I mean. You know, so like, and like, I've gone to Mass for school trips. I did, you know, because Boston's 45 minutes from where I live. And I'm in another state. Boston's 45 minutes away. So, I know where she lives in terms of, I know where the town she lives in is. If that makes sense. Because I half grew up in Mass, even though I didn't live there. But anyway, she's a good one. Go check her out. She records every 2 or 3 weeks, so her last episode is from the beginning of May. She'll probably put one up soon. I have the Etsy shop. I showed you the W-turn shop. Told you about the sock needles. I'm just going down my notes here. The last thing is, this is a little odd, but I've been wondering, just out of curiosity, you don't need to tell me, I won't be insulted if you don't, I was wondering why you watched my podcast. So, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that you do. I'm not telling you to stop watching, seriously. Like, I like that people watch, and if you left comments, that would be even greater. YouTube, blog, whatever, but comments are good. Yay, comments, yay. But I'm not a mom, I'm not a dyer, I'm not a designer. You only see my cat very rarely. So I'm wondering what makes you guys watch my podcast. Is it the fact that I talk with my hands? Is it the fact that I ramble on and on and on? I could call this Serenova rambling instead of Serenova crafts. I ramble a lot. But it's just, for me, it's just a curiosity thing. Why do I watch my podcast? But feel free to comment wherever, on whatever. Yeah, just wondering. So I got one more thing to show you folks, and that was because Kevin was very nice to me and bought me a pattern book. had to reach over and grab it. It was on a coffee table. And it is Ancient Egypt in lace and color. So, I think it's really cool. The book has been out for a few years now, and there's 4 patterns in here that I really, really like. But it's really interesting because the book opens with an introduction, of course, because most books have an introduction, but it also starts talking about color. And what the ancient Egyptians thought about color. And I've always been fascinated with ancient Egypt. I love learning about other cultures' mythology and other cultures' myths and things like that, their literature, their stories. And so, this book absolutely fascinated me. Now that I have it in my hands, I really like it. So it goes down talking about the different colors and actually gives their name in Egyptian. So like green is Waj, red is Desher, white is Hej, black is Kem, yellow is Kanet, blue is Irtiu. And they talk about what the colors meant to the Egyptians. So back to the beginning, green, for example. Green was the color of new vegetation and new life. The hieroglyph used for Waj was the same hieroglyph used for the papyrus plant and also for Malachite. The fields of Malachite were the land of the blessed dead. And contrary to the emotions that we tend to associate with death, the place was meant to bring happy feelings. Green Malachite was a symbol of joy. To do green things was to do beneficial and life-affirming things. Perhaps a little like the green movement today. Osiris, the king of the dead, was often depicted with green skin. The Eye of Horus amulet was usually made out of green stone. It was a healing and protective amulet. And so then, of course, they have the Osiris Shawl, which is knit in green yarn. So here's the shawl. It's more like a very long stole. And it says, a stole with 13 full moons and a fish, symbolizing the 14 pieces of Osiris' body and green leaves for the cedar tree. And then Osiris was the king of Egypt and Isis' queen. His brother Seth jealously plotted to overthrow him, and then it goes into the story about them. But then, you've got the traditional knitting pattern for the lots of charts, lots and lots of charts. I kind of wish I got the ebook so that I could make the charts bigger. Lots of charts. So each one has a thing. And then they have fields of Malachite, so there's actually 2 green shawls. And actually the shawl on the cover of the book is what made me want the book, because I really like that one. But Fields of Malachite is a top-down crescent-shaped shawl showing stylized veins of malachite rock symbolizing the fields of Malachite, the land of the blessed dead. Here's a picture of the entire thing. So I really like this. It's actually printed on pretty nice paper. Seth. This is Seth. This one is Seth. A neck-to-edge triangular shawl with the crumbling mountaintop Seth used to build his ship. Because Seth is the one that killed in Egyptian mythology. After killing his brother Osiris, Seth claimed Egypt's throne, but when Horus was old enough to challenge his uncle Seth, he gathered the other gods and told them of Osiris' murder. If you didn't know already, Egypt mythology is really incestuous. Egyptian royalty was incestuous, and their mythology is even more incestuous. But here's the whole shawl. And actually, it's better if I just show you the cover of the book. It's actually a really big triangle. And then, there's just a bunch of really great stuff in here. This is the girl with the rose red slippers. The half octagon. And then you have Memphis, which is a circular shawl. A circular pie shawl inspired by Inez hedge. The center symbolizes the walled city surrounded by the desert. The outer portion contains a stylized version of the 3 great pyramids of Giza. So where's a picture of Osiris? Ta-da! There it is. Seriously, if you like lace shawls, pick up this book. It's great. Seriously. And no, you don't need to knit the shawls in the color it says in the pattern. But, you know, here's another one. Really cool. And what I like is that the people who photographed the knitting for this are knitters. Because you will get, you know, the artsy-fartsy picture at the beginning of the pattern, but you will actually get a picture of the whole darn thing later on. You know, so I like that, because I like seeing the whole piece actually laid out, so that I know what it looks like. What a novel idea! Alright, so, and they have a list of the yarns they use in the back, and everything has this like kitchen motif on it. It's really cool. And they have further readings if you're interested about Egypt. They have it about the author. They have a thanks. You know, and then this is by Cooperative Press. So if you want a copy of the book, you can either get it on Amazon, which is I got it, or you can go to cooperativepress.com, and that is where the book is from. Cooperative Press. And there you go, that's in Ancient Egypt in Lace and Color. She does have a follow-up book. And, yeah. So there's some interesting, like, testimony on the back. You know, they put the testimony on the back covers, right? It's really funny. So they have these there's a couple of yarn bars on here. There's Indigo Dragonfly and Cephalopod. And Kim McBride from Indigo Dragonfly said, I want 5 minutes in Anna Dalby, that's the author's brain. Anna tells us stories with her stitches, every design as complex and rich as the mythology that inspires them, yet so clearly and simply written that we can step in without trepidation and knit these legends. Truly a book of dream shawls. And then Cephalopod said, Anna Dalby's Ancient Egypt in Lace and Color is full of gorgeous, intriguing patterns that convey the mystery of ancient Egypt through form, texture, and hue. Each piece is beautifully planned, intricately worked, and carries Anna's signature style. Clear, precise lines, and understated elegance. Every pattern is created to be engaging for the experienced lace knitter, yet Anna's unique writing style makes these patterns accessible for a novice. The only problem will be deciding which project to cast on first. I love this book. I want her next one. Anyways, I think that's enough for today. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for watching. If you are a new viewer, thank you for making it this long. I hope you tune in next week, because this is a weekly podcast. You can find me on Ravelry and Twitter as Serenova. You can find me on Instagram as Serenova_Phoenix. You can find the show notes for this podcast either on the Ravelry thread for this episode or on my blog at myknittinglife.wordpress.com. The Ravelry group is Serenova Crafts Podcast. And, is there anything else I want to say? No. If I miss a link in my show notes and you want to know what something is, send me a message. I will send you the link or update my show notes and tell you. Or if you just leave a comment in the thread, I will just reply with the link so that people have it. I will try to remember to link everything. I listen to my podcast again before I upload them, so that I can, I know I have to go make 2 cuts, and I gotta put in captions and stuff. So, but yeah, if I miss anything, feel free to tell me. I try to be good and write everything down, but that's not always the case. So again, if you have any questions, feel free. I do have an Ask the Podcaster thread in my Ravelry group. I also have just, my blog, my Instagram. Feel free to message me. Just send me a private message on Ravelry. I don't care. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate it all. And I will see you next week. Bye!